Good morning. Going to have a little chat about my convalescing and but just to say I'm very lucky this morning. It's a beautiful day, so I'm just sitting out in my lovely garden. So I just want to show that it all helps if you're not feeling well to actually have a little sit down and I'm just glad I managed to do a few bits and pieces before having my operation. So here we go then, here's a little chat. So as you know, on the 10th, I went in to have a straightforward urethra stent put in to have my kidney stones removed. It sounded like a really straightforward day stay operation, so no worries. I had no thoughts about anything possibly going wrong. So what happened is when I came out from my operation, they said it was unsuccessful and said I could go home. And I thought, why was it unsuccessful? And then I was explained that my ureter they couldn't stretch it enough, but they managed to eventually get a stent in, which they needed to leave in me, so to try and do the operation again. Now, within the first 2 days, I was in so much pain. I was actually crying in pain. My Apple Watch was saying I've got respiratory problems, all matter of things. I felt like I was actually dying. So I phoned up the hospital. They said the consultant would speak to me. I was still so ill. I phoned the doctors. They told me to go to A&E. I was too ill to go to A&E. So eventually I had a paramedic. The paramedics came. I was very, very poorly, but basically they said perhaps it's something what I'm going to have to be prepared for, because when a surgery goes wrong, you're having to heal inside. And so then they explained to me about the stent. Apparently, with a ureteral stent, you have a little curly bit which is in your bladder, and then it comes round and there's a curly bit which is actually in your kidneys, and then you've got the long bit which is in your urethra. So every time you go for a wee or anything, you get pressure and it slightly moves. So you get contractions, kidney pain. So if anybody out there has had a baby, that type of pain. Anybody out there who's actually had a kidney stone in the past, that pain. So I was in that type of pain for days and days and days, and it was just ridiculous. So the consultant phoned me back and said about often they give people Tamsulosin, which is a drug for men's prostate. So they did a prescription. A friend went and got it for me, and they said that should help. I was still doubled over in pain, unhealthy pain. How can you carry on in so much pain? I wasn't getting better. I just seemed to be getting worse and worse. Just could hardly walk. So plodded along. The actual drugs came on the Thursday. So I thought, right, okay, I'm getting a bit better. Every time I'd gone to the bathroom, there was like a pan full of blood. So they gave me the Tamsulosin next day, the Friday. I thought, I feel a bit better. And I thought, right, I'd carry a Hoover upstairs. I thought, my house needs a little bit of help, And then I felt really ill again. And I thought, oh dear, what is going on here? So at this time, I was actually already on codidromols, naproxens, Tamsulosins, you name it. I was on it. And they told me to have extra in the night and all the rest of it. So I was spaced out with all these extra drugs. And then on the Friday, like I said, I started feeling ill. Saturday morning, oh my word, I could hardly get out of bed, could hardly lift my head up off the pillow. So fortunately I've got friends who all live right near to me, and one of my friends rushed round because they just so happened to have messaged me when I was saying about how bad I felt. So she came round and as soon as she saw me, she actually swore because she couldn't believe how bad I looked. And so she settled me on the sofa and made me take my medications, got me to do 111. But the only problem with 111 was they said go to the hospital, and it was a Saturday, and I felt so ill. I felt too ill to go to the hospital. So we phoned up the chemist, and then he said it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like the medication is making me feel so ill. Perhaps I've got the start of an infection. So he said if you start getting your temperature and that, you'll have to get an ambulance, but see how you go, but make sure you go to your doctors on Monday. So what I did is my lovely new boyfriend who I've started seeing from internet dating, you've got to feel sorry for him, you know, has to sort of start dating a woman who then becomes ill, and he lives a long way away, but he came down and he took me to the doctors to make sure I was okay, because he couldn't believe how rough I looked. He was very concerned, and apparently I'd got a UTI. So, and also they said renal colic, and so again, that is why all the terrible pains, and when the doctor pressed my tummy, I nearly went through the roof. Absolutely horrendous. It was like somebody stabbing me with a knife, that type of pains. So, to cut a long story short, he said that all those medications I'm having, because it's not touching it, he would prescribe suppositories, I think it's called diclofenac, and all I can say, miracle drug. Pop one of them up your bottom, and it took that pain away. When you think I was on all that other medication, didn't touch it at all. So, you know, be warned, it's not always what you take, it's the right thing. So, on antibiotics, because I have a UTI, which is one of the regular things to get with having a urethral stent left in. So there's me thinking that I'm going on holiday next month, looking forward to it, you know, with a friend, really like, you know, need a holiday because after all of this. And so I wanted to know when they're going to take the stent out and what's going to happen. But the hospital phoned me, the consultant, and had a good chat. And then she was a lovely lady. She explained that the operation hadn't gone according to plan, and you know, it's all different. It's nothing what could have been done differently. It's just one of those things. You get that 1 in 500,000. Hi, that's me. So, you know, okay. But then she said they won't want to try again till May. I said, what? I'm uncomfortable. I'm really, you know, I'm weak as water, can't do anything, in a lot of pain. I can't go over another month. Then she explained that every time you walk, bend, lift, that little curly bit inside the bladder and the little curly bit inside your kidneys will scratch inside you. So you have to, that's why it's best to lay, and that's why my body wants me to lay down all the time, not sit up, because when you're sitting, it's pressure all on your insides. So it made sense, because every time I walk down, you know, in the mornings when I get up, it takes an hour by the time I get up, because it's just exhausting, and then I do bleed. So understandably, that is why, because every time you move, that little stent inside does its little jiggy bit, and then it's hurting you, and that's why you get pain. But of course, who can lay still all day, every day? Impossible. So after being told all of this, and now knowing that they're not going to, I can't have this reoperation till May, and then she said to me, and we cannot guarantee it will work. It may have to be done in 2 sessions because your stones are really large. There's 8.5 and I think 6.5. I was like, oh my God, you know, but she still said this is still the safest way of removing them, and they do need to be removed. So on that note, I've now got to try to, you know, like today, wash my hair, put a bit of makeup on, got myself down here with my breakfast. I'll be laying down here for a sleep in a minute, because this has been exhausting just get down here. But I've got to try to live the next month by only doing tiny little steps, not lifting, not lugging anything, which will be very hard for me, because as you know, I love my garden. And when I even sitting here now, I think, oh, that needs doing, that needs doing. But I've got to just sit back and let it be done by friends, family. When people say, do you want this help? I have to say yes. And I will say, any of my friends out there who are watching, I really thank you all so much. My house is full of flowers, all the lovely messages, and people keep an eye on me all the time, which is absolutely wonderful. And friends popping round and taking in the shopping for me, going and getting all my prescriptions. You know, I mean, it's absolutely, I can't, you know, and family as well. I can't thank them all enough. So I will try to do a bit more of my you know, on here on my YouTube, my story. So my internet dating story at the moment, of course, there's not a lot of that going on, but I am seeing a nice chap called Gary, so so you'll hear more about that in the next few weeks, no doubt, hopefully. And he's been very, very good. So it shows somebody's true colours when when you start dating somebody, and then one person becomes it. So shows that he's a true, honest guy. I know on that. And so now next week I'm going to try and do a bit of painting. But of course, when I tried to do painting before, I was so ill afterwards, but it all makes sense now. I have to just try and sit still, like lay a lot of the time, and I have to rest. So hopefully, this will mean if it's another month of this, then they're going to try and do the operation. Then I don't know how bad I'm going to be after that, but it is life, isn't it? Sometimes it's better to be prepared. Fortunately, I was prepared. I'd already bought lots of frozen foods and things like that, but you just don't know. So all I'd like to say to everybody out there, if you are going in to have a procedure of any sort, we all know that they say to you, oh, 1 in a million will die, 1 in 500,000 this will happen. But just listen to what they say, because I didn't take any notice at all, because I just thought I'm going to go straight in, easy procedure, be sorted. But I am that one person in the 500,000, and that could also be you. So on that note, I'll say cheers. At least I'm starting to look like me. I still feel like crap, but hopefully I'm getting there soon. Speak to you soon. Bye.